Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. Hit the like button. I'm here with very special guest Lee Camp. And Lee, I wanted to talk to you because you, along with Aaron Mate, have been very much on the forefront of everything going on with Russiagate. And now there's even more information that came out to say that it's complete bullshit.
It's all slowly collapsed, and I think they wanted it. If it's going to collapse, they wanted it to be slow so people stop paying attention.
Right.
But I think the way I described it the other day was it's like, you know, when they do construction, but the facade of the building is old, so they want to keep that, and they've already gutted out everything else, and it's just the front face of the building still there. That was what remained of Russiagate, and then just like the past 2 weeks, we've just seen that facade go. It's just the last remaining little bit that they were holding on to. It's been so fucking pathetic to see. Like, and of course, your corporate media won't even mention it. But the thing that happened a few weeks ago, we'll get up to the latest thing, but the thing that happened several weeks ago was that Mueller, along with the Justice Department, agreed to basically drop almost all of the remaining indictments against the Russian clickbait farm that they had because they realized they couldn't prove anything. And so they had those, like, it was like 14 indictments. Several of them were of people who weren't even working at the clickbait farm during the time period of the election. And they realized that they couldn't actually prove that those people had any connection to the Russian government or had swayed the election at all or really had wanted to sway the election. So they quietly dropped the indictments as on that clickbait farm.
Well, isn't it though? I mean, when the head of Google last year, whatever it was, said to Congress that he found $4,700 in ads on Google. I mean, if that wasn't damning evidence that they spent $4,700 on ads, I don't know. I mean, if that's not a smoking gun, Lee. I don't know.
By the way, for those who have never tried using Facebook ads, $4,700 will get you about 4 clicks. All right, it'll get you one grandma in Poughkeepsie is going to see that ad for $4,700.
I've tried to use Facebook ads to sell tickets on the road. It never works. But we're all supposed to believe that $4,700 on Google and $100,000 on Facebook, that swung the election. So Hillary was running around with a mere $1.5 billion in change she found under her couch, but this avalanche of $104,000 just crushed it.
Yeah, and if anyone's looked at those ads, you know, one is just Satan arm wrestling with Jesus. Another one is literally Bernie Sanders, a drawn image of Bernie Sanders in a banana hammock.
That's what made me change my vote, though, Lee. I got to be honest with you. It was burning the banana. I was all set to vote for Hillary, and then I saw that banana hammock one, and I was like, "Wow, this is nuts! I'm going to vote for Jill Stein."
Well, I saw that image, and I was like, "Why? How are they in my dreams? Why is Facebook in my dreams? This is not right."
That's literally my weekend at Bernie's fantasy. Come on now, who's with me, folks? So there was that from a couple weeks ago, but more recently, and you said you did a video on this, and I watched it talking about CrowdStrike, which basically CrowdStrike said, we have no evidence.
Yeah. So for those who have not been following the play-by-play of the intricate workings of the Russiagate shenanigans, so Mueller's report basically showed there was no collusion between Trump and that, but it did seem to claim. It said it appears Russia hacked the DNC and released these DNC emails via WikiLeaks. So it did seem to claim that at least Russia had done that. So you figure, okay, well, there may not have been collusion. Maybe Trump had nothing to do with it. But at least we know that Russia hacked the DNC or whatever. But it turns out that, and here's the part we knew before last week, that the DNC, they destroyed the servers. So these computer servers were hacked. So these servers are the scene of a crime, a major crime, an international crime, are these DNC computer servers. Donna Brazil said on television multiple times, and she was the acting head after Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down, that of the DNC, that the DNC destroyed the servers. Which, why the fuck would you do that after a crime? Why would you destroy the servers? That's like walking up, you find a dead body that's been beaten and bruised, and you call the cops and go, oh my God, there's been a murder. And then the cops show up and they say, we have to investigate. Where's the body? And you say, I chopped it up and threw it in the river. That's what the DNC did.
But Lee, I do all that all the time. I came across a shootout and there was all these piles of drugs and fingerprints on guns, and I cleaned it up before I called the police. That's what I always do. You're not hiding anything.
Unfortunately, I snorted the fingerprints and flushed the Coke, so that was not good. But
just Coke all over my nose. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know. It just all went away.
But so they destroyed the servers, and they gave a mock-up of the servers to the FBI, whatever that means. I mean, if that doesn't scream guilty. But the reason they wanted to cover this up is because it clearly was not Russia. It was likely a leak from the inside of the DNC. And so they wanted to cover that up. Anyway, they hire a private company, CrowdStrike, which is the only organization, the FBI wasn't even allowed to, the only organization to ever analyze the servers and decide who hacked the DNC is this private company called CrowdStrike. The president at the time, he might still be president, but the president at the time is a man named Sean Henry, who has deep ties to the Democratic Party and also used to be at the FBI. So he's the president of this company. This company then gives their analysis to the FBI, which was partially redacted, why are you allowed to redact your analysis that you give to the FBI? The FBI doesn't have the power to get the actual unredacted papers. But anyway, they give their analysis that says Russia, likely did this, blah, blah, blah. And now we finally see, just this past week, and Aaron Mate at the Gray Zone has done a great job of analyzing these congressional testimony. We see Sean Henry, the president of CrowdStrike's testimony to Congress, and he's asked about this Russian hack multiple times. And each time he says, we have no evidence that Russia exfiltrated data from the servers. Exfiltrated meaning stole data from the servers. We have no evidence that they took any data from the server. And he keeps being asked about it. And there's at least 3 or 4 times he says we had no concrete evidence. We had no evidence. We had no evidence that Russia exfiltrated data from the servers. And it's like, so you literally are saying there is no evidence that Russia is the one behind these DNC leaks, which is what they were, and not hacks. And also Assange, this also gels with what Assange had said years ago, back when this was going on. He had said that a state actor was not involved in the leak of the DNC emails. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
It's amazing to me that this stuff comes out and people like Aaron Mate and yourself do this like serious research, but then the corporate media just... Nope. And there's the thing I always tell my audience is I always say, whenever there's something they're yelling and screaming about, what are they not talking about? So like the only thing we can talk about now is COVID-19. Okay, it's a serious pandemic, it's for real, but there's about 30 minutes of news a day that is relevant to what's going on. New study, okay, they've done this, the numbers, great. Oh, vitamin D's better, wonderful. It's about 30 minutes a day.
No, hold on. They have to spend at least a couple of minutes showing somebody has their dog in a mask and it's cute. They got to spend a few minutes on that.
Oh, dog in a mask. So fantastic.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Never gets old dogs on TV. Never. Where the dog talks, oh, I want to get my own mask. Oh, I love it. Love it. But again, they're not talking about how this Russiagate has completely collapsed. They're not talking about the DNC destroying their own servers. Like, talk to any cop. I mean, talk to a grade school crossing guard, and they're going to go, wow, that seems suspicious. And they don't talk about this. We haven't talked about the Afghan papers. We haven't talked about Epstein. We're not talking about any of this stuff. It's just constant COVID, 24/7 of COVID. And it's like, there's nothing else happening? Oh, that's right. We're also not talking about the 7 wars we're in and all the money we're spending on war that could be used to give American citizens, I don't know, free rent. You're going to tell them to not work or leave their home for 3 months. You might want to pay their rent. I don't know. It's complete madness.
Yeah, it goes with that famous quote that I don't know who it was, but never let a good crisis go to waste. And it's, this is a real crisis, but that's then used by the various, ruling elite, the media elite, the liberati, the belligerati, all of them use this crisis in their various ways. Trump has used it to completely gut the EPA. I mean, the EPA now saying they won't actually stick to basically any regulations on corporations. And that's one example of how he's used the crisis and the Trump administration's used it. And then the media uses it to, like you say, not talk about everything significant that other than COVID that's going on around the world. Our bombings continue. I mean, our bombings are not going to stop for a pandemic, even though the UN has called for a global ceasefire. Our economic wars are not going to stop during this pandemic, even though we know that people die because we won't allow medications through. Venezuela is paying, 3-4 times what most countries are for the testing and everything else, because the U.S. sanctions on them have made it incredibly difficult. And so we know we literally know and can point to children that we've killed, babies that we've killed, elderly that we've killed in various countries due to our economic wars against them. Iran has been incredibly hit hard by this COVID-19, and when it first was happening, because Iran got hit a little earlier than us, they were doing the bragging thing where they're like, you can see the graves that the mass graves that Iran is building from space. Look at these satellite photos of mass graves Iran is building because of the pandemic. And then it hit us, and we stopped apparently finding it quite as funny. But it was just incredible to see the fucking bragging that the U.S. was doing on how many Iranians had died from this. Because every Iranian is evil, simply by fact that they live there. I mean, every Iranian baby, really, children, toddlers. Iranian toddlers are the worst. I mean, just nefarious motherfuckers.
Well, that's the head of the ISIS snake, is the Iranian toddler. So, I mean, it's so preposterous that we're sanctioning countries in the middle of a pandemic, which is just from a purely selfish standpoint, is dumb. Just from we don't want this thing to spread. If you're just gonna, not even I know Mike Pompeo and those guys don't have a heart or soul or anything. Hillary didn't, they're awful people. But even just from hey, if this thing just spreads all over the place, this might be bad for business. Just from our standpoint, we're doing this. Not to mention how awful it is. We claim to be a Christian country. We should just stop and go. We're not a Christian country. Because Jesus wouldn't do any of these things. We're just evil assholes that like money and greed and power. And
hold on, you don't remember that part of the Bible where Jesus was like, allow a pandemic to kill those people that I don't like?
Yeah, I remember when he said that. He said build a wall. He said drone strike them. Yeah, he was a big.
Didn't he build a wall out of fishes or loaves?
Yes, yes. Remember when he turned water into a drone strike? Remember that section in the Bible?
He took just plain, just out of the well water and turned it into waterboarding. It was really beautiful. Beautiful thing.
He truly was a gift. But yeah, it's unbelievable. Not to mention, in the middle of this pandemic, the United States determines that this is a great time to send mercenaries to Venezuela for the most bungled coup attempt.
That story's incredible. And it's, the Mike Pompeo and all of them have pretended they didn't know anything about it. Chances are they knew it was going to happen, thought it might fail, and so they wanted to keep their hands clean and be like, we didn't know what was going to happen. But it's like Juan Guaido signed the contract with this maniac, Jordan Goudreau, the U.S. Green Beret. I think he's half Canadian, half U.S., ex-Green Beret, who just sent 60 guys just practically into the Venezuelan Navy's fire just to see what would happen. I mean, it's total. They didn't even get to the coast of Venezuela before they got caught, and 8 of them were killed in the firefight. Others were then dropped off on on the beaches of a Dutch island trying to escape, and they were all captured. It was just you can't even get to the country before it all goes south. It's just, it honestly sounds like a bad, comedy movie.
Well, yeah, April 29th, Pompeo says, there's a coup happening. It's underway. We're going to get Maduro in power. And then around May 2nd or 3rd is when this coup just completely collapsed. Then Pompeo's like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I don't know any of these people. And Trump, they asked him about it, and he was like, he's such a bad liar. he was like, oh, no, we had nothing to do. What guys? There was guys. There was like, it's like a cop pulls you over.
Trump goes, no, if we go in, we'll go in with the military and we'll win in minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, that's the reason you didn't go in with the military, so you could pretend this wasn't you.
Yeah, it's like when they busted Timothy McVeigh. Do you know why we pulled you over? I had nothing to do with that bombing in Oklahoma City. That had nothing to do. It's just like, you're so. Do you know why I pulled you over? It can't be. I don't have a body in the trunk. Oh.
Dahmer's like the organs were in those containers when I bought the fridge. It was a deal they had. Buy a new fridge, get a heart.
The fridge came with skulls that I had boiled. It came with boiled skulls. That's how you buy them. I mean, I don't know. Talk to Best Buy.
Really, there was a guy at Best Buy you should really speak to about this.
I think it was included in the warranty plan or something. I don't know. I'm just the guy who works here. What do I know? So how do you see this? This Russiagate. Where do you see this going or ending? Are they just going to quietly walk away like it never happened, or how is this? Do you think the people in power, the DNC and the corporate media, how do you think they're going to handle all this?
Yeah, well, it served a lot of its purpose that they wanted, which, step one was for the Clinton machine and the DNC to not have to actually look in on themselves as to why they lost to one of the least popular candidates to ever exist, putting up their own least popular candidate to ever exist. And they didn't want to have to do that. They didn't want the American people to do that and blame them. So they quickly decided, well, let's blame it on Russia. That apparently that there were meetings within the week after she lost, deciding that Russia was the best culprit for this, and it serves multiple purposes to keep a Cold War setting with Russia. It also serves to push aside and alienate and delegitimize whole swaths of alternative media, independent media. I mean, yes, I'm called a Russian agent, but even people, that don't have TV shows on RT are called Russian agents. I mean, Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein. It serves to really just delegitimize the entirety of anything left of the tiny corporate box of allowable thought on our airwaves. So it really has served a lot of its purpose, even though it has the actual factual basis for Russiagate has all just collapsed into a soup of nothingness. It's served its purpose, in so many ways. And most Americans, if you say to them right now, if you say, well, we just saw the congressional testimony, they said there was no evidence that Russia, they just go, oh no, that's definite. We already know that.
They already made their mind up.
That is, listen, NPR said it, all right? It is known. It is done. And so really just many Americans just have it cemented in their brain. They don't care what evidence comes forward. They don't care how much it has collapsed. And that's really sad to see. You hope with new evidence, people change their opinions, change their views. Maybe this could end up like WMD, where years afterwards, the media finally was like, oh, that was a bad time where we all said there were WMD in Iraq. Huh? Oh, geez, sorry about that. But I think they'll probably continue at some level of this lie for years to come.
Yeah, you're right. They did their job. They did their job of getting the lie in there. So I got that $1,200 check, and then right around the same time, I got a letter from Donald Trump that's in English and in Spanish. And yeah, I think Trump is a complete jackass, and he's blundered this pandemic, front to back. But the Democrats seem to blunder it more. It's fantastic. But
he is fluent in Spanish. I do know that about him.
He's so fluent. He loves speaking it. He loves other languages. That's why he built the wall. And a friend of mine who's smart, but they're a Hollywood, neoliberal. They're like, yeah, I got that letter in Russian or in English and Spanish. I'm surprised it wasn't in Russian. So they're just already Trump's tied to Russia, and I'm just like, there's so many things to be critical of him about that are legitimate. You don't need this fake thing. It's like,
and also it doesn't seem to register with them that actually, yes, okay, Trump had a meeting or two with Putin, which is the norm for world leaders, but in terms of what he's done to Russia diplomatically, it's been far worse than Obama. I mean, he's expelled diplomats. It's just on so many levels. It's actually his treatment of Russia has actually been worse than Obama's treatment of Russia. So why, if he's such great friends doing all these wonderful things for Russia, then why is that the case?
It just all falls apart. It all collapses. It's funny, the left is fond of pointing out the hypocrisy of the right and how the right votes against their own interest, and there's plenty of fine examples of that. But then the left does the same type of crazy, stuff where they just refuse to see facts, and they just only want to see their side. It's the problem, or maybe, well, I don't know that it's the problem for the 99%, but I think the 1% has designed this stupid two-party system, which is just professional wrestling to get us to argue over it so that we don't pay attention to what's really happening, which is why there's people saying, Joe Biden is better than Trump, and which is just a form of insanity that I can't even stomach. Hey everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.